You know that sound a server rack makes when it's working hard? It's like listening to someone's lungs struggling for air. That mechanical wheeze has been my soundtrack for the last 20 years. I'm the guy who keeps your credit card from getting declined when you're buying groceries at midnight. I'm the reason the cash registers don't turn into expensive paperweights every time there's a power hiccup. My name is Christopher Walsh. I'm 48 years old. And until this morning, I was the senior systems architect for Hartwell Retail Group. We're talking 2,800 stores across 3 continents, held together by fiber optic cables and my constant vigilance. Most people think technology just works by magic. It doesn't. It works because guys like me spend our weekends in basement server rooms that smell like ozone and stale coffee, fixing code written by dead programmers. Lawrence Hartwell hired me 20 years ago. He was tough as nails, built this empire from a single hardware store in Ohio. The man understood that you don't construct a skyscraper on quicksand. He caught me jury-rigging a point-of-sale terminal at a competitor's store while I was buying a pack of gum. I had my toolkit in my car because that's what you do when you actually care about making things work. He liked that I didn't smile when he offered me the job, but asked about the technical specifications instead. For 20 years, I was the invisible foundation. I wasn't in the annual reports with the smiling marketing team who looked like they were manufactured in a corporate laboratory. I was the one they called at 3 a.m. on Christmas when the inventory database decided to commit suicide. I was the only person who knew that our entire East Coast pricing system depended on a single legacy server we called Methuselah, because the code was written in a programming language that hadn't been taught since the Clinton administration. I kept the lights on. I kept the scanners beeping. I kept the money flowing. And I did it by staying focused on what mattered, making the systems work, not playing office politics. But when you're invisible, people forget you exist. They forget about the 16-hour shifts during Black Friday prep when I lived on vending machine sandwiches and ibuprofen. They forget that the system isn't some friendly robot that loves them. It's a complex beast that wants to eat itself, and I'm the one with the tranquilizer gun. Lawrence died 6 months ago. The funeral was full of people who never understood what he'd built, talking about his vision. I stood in the back in my only good suit, watching them lower his casket. I knew what was being buried with him, the institutional knowledge, the understanding that technology isn't just about having the newest toys, it's about systems that actually work. Enter Jennifer Hartwell, the new chief operating officer. She's 32, has teeth whiter than fresh snow, and an MBA from a school that costs more than my house. Her operational experience could fit on a business card with room left over for a grocery list. She swept into the executive suite like a tornado of expensive perfume and corporate buzzwords, talking about pivoting our human capital and disrupting legacy paradigms. She didn't know what a server was, but she definitely knew she wanted to take our technology to the next level, whatever that meant. I kept my head down. Updated security patches, monitored system loads. I figured she'd eventually settle into playing golf and let the people who actually knew what they were doing run the technical side. I was wrong. It started small. Emails about optimizing the energy of the IT department, memos about toxic negativity from employees who didn't participate enough in team-building exercises. I ignored them. I'm not paid to do trust falls. I'm paid to make sure when someone scans a shirt, the price shows up correctly and not as $0 or $50,000. But silence annoys people like Jennifer. She needs validation. She needs an audience. And nothing irritates a narcissist more than someone who looks at them and sees an amateur playing dress-up. I was in the middle of a delicate database migration, moving terabytes of customer data from our aging cluster to a new secure environment, when the summons came. Not an email. Jennifer's assistant, Michelle, a woman with a smile so bright it could power a small city, appeared at my server room door. "Christopher, Jennifer is ready to sync up with you now." "We weren't scheduled to sync," I said, not looking up from my monitors. "I'm in the middle of a data transfer. If I stop now, we could lose customer loyalty points for half the Midwest." "Oh, I'm sure it can wait," Michelle chirped. She's super excited to discuss the new direction. I looked at the scrolling lines of code on my screen, green text on black background, the heartbeat of the company. It was stable for now. I sighed, saved my progress, and stood up. My knees popped. 20 years of sitting at computers will do that to you. "Fine," I said. "Let's go see this new direction." The elevator ride to the top floor felt different this time. The air got thinner as we rose, less like honest work and more like expensive lies. I didn't know it yet, but I was riding toward the end of my career as I knew it. And the funny thing is, I wasn't the one who should have been worried. Jennifer's office looked like a hotel lobby in Miami Beach. The heavy oak desk Lawrence had used, scarred with decades of real work, was gone. In its place was a glass slab that looked like it would shatter if you put actual paperwork on it. Jennifer was standing by the window, posing like she was in a magazine photo shoot. Her suit was too blue and her shoes were too pointy. When I entered, she flashed that shark smile, all teeth, no warmth. "Christopher!" she boomed, like we were old college buddies instead of two people who'd exchanged maybe 20 words in 6 months. Come in, come in. Want some water? I have this amazing birch sap infusion. I'm fine." "Jennifer," I said, staying standing. "What's the emergency? The data migration is paused, and paused code makes me nervous." "Emergency?" No emergency," she laughed, waving dismissively. She sat behind the glass desk in a chair that probably cost more than my first car. "Just a vibe check. A realignment." "A realignment?" I repeated. "Exactly. Look, Chris, can I call you Chris?" She didn't wait for an answer. "I've been doing a deep dive into our org chart, looking at the energy flow of the company, the feng shui of the operation, if you will." I stared at her. "The feng shui?" "Yes. We're pivoting, Chris, moving toward a digital-first, customer-centric, joy-forward experience. And to do that, we need team members who embody that spirit. We need radiantly positive changemakers." She picked up a folder from her desk, my personnel file. "I've been reviewing your performance metrics," she said, dropping her voice like she was sharing state secrets. "Technically, flawless. System uptime is incredible, security's bulletproof, but..." She tapped the folder with a manicured fingernail. "Culture fit. It's just not there." "I manage the back-end infrastructure for 2,800 stores," I said evenly. "My job isn't to fit the culture. My job is to make sure the credit card terminals don't crash when 40 million people try to buy Christmas presents simultaneously. See?" Jennifer pointed at me like I'd just proved her point. "That right there, that energy, it's heavy, it's dense, it's a drag, Chris. It brings the whole room down. We need innovators, people who say yes instead of no." A muscle twitched under my left eye. "You want me to say yes to a server fire?" "Jennifer, the systems I manage are 20 years old. They're held together by custom scripts and patches that I wrote personally. They're not joy forward. They're binary code and electricity." She sighed dramatically. "I was afraid you wouldn't get it. You're analog in a digital world, Chris. That's why I'm bringing in a new firm to handle IT infrastructure. A cloud-native, agile team. Young guys, hungry ones, fresh energy." The words hung in the air like smoke from an electrical fire. "You're outsourcing the core network. We're upgrading our human capital," she corrected, sliding a piece of paper across the glass desk. "Effective immediately. Standard severance package. 2 weeks' pay, glowing recommendation letter." I looked at the paper, then I looked at her. She really had no idea. She thought running a network was like plugging in a toaster. "Jennifer," I said quietly, "does the new Agile team know about the Walsh Protocol?" She blinked. "The what?" "The Walsh Protocol. The failsafe your father and I built into the system. It requires manual authentication from a master admin account every 50 minutes. My account." She rolled her eyes. "Oh God, here we go with the technical mumbo-jumbo. They'll figure it out, Chris. They're experts. They have apps." "They have apps," I repeated. The absurdity was almost beautiful. "Look, don't try to scare me." "With ghost stories," she snapped, her facade cracking. "This is a business decision. We need to shed dead weight." "You're fired, Christopher. Please hand over your badge." I stood there for a moment. I could fight. I could scream. I could drag the CTO in here and explain that Jennifer was essentially pulling the control rods out of a nuclear reactor. But then I looked at her smug face, at the live, laugh, love style motivational poster that said, "Hustle," and I realized something. I didn't want to save her. I reached into my pocket and pulled out my badge. The plastic was worn smooth from 20 years of use. It was the key to everything. "Okay," I said. She looked surprised. She'd expected a scene, maybe tears. "Just like that?" "Just like that." I placed the badge on her glass desk with a sharp click. "You want fresh energy? You've got it." "Great!" She was already looking at her phone, dismissing me. Michelle will escort you out. No need to go back downstairs. We'll mail your personal stuff. No need, I said. I travel light. I turned toward the door. My hand was on the handle when I stopped. Jennifer? Yeah? She was typing on her phone. Check the logs, I said. I walked out. My heart was pounding, not with fear, but with cold adrenaline. She'd just fired the pilot mid-flight because she didn't like my announcements about turbulence. She thought the plane flew itself. She was about to learn about gravity. The elevator ride to the lobby felt different this time. I wasn't going to my basement office. Jennifer had said effective immediately, and I follow instructions precisely. As I walked through the lobby, my phone started buzzing. Slack notifications. One, then another, then a flood. Network admin. Daniel. Chris, why is your account showing as revoked? Regional manager Rebecca. Did she actually do it? Tell me she didn't. IT. Supervisor Kevin. Chris, we have sync errors on the West Coast. Need you to check it. I ignored them all. I wasn't the senior systems architect anymore. I was just a middle-aged guy with a headache and suddenly a lot of free time. I had to pass the monitoring room on my way out, a glass-walled area where junior analysts watched the dashboards. When they saw me, it was like a submarine movie when the hull starts groaning. 5 heads snapped up simultaneously. Daniel, a smart kid with nervous energy, actually ran out to intercept me. Christopher, he whispered, looking over his shoulder. Security just sent an alert disabling your credentials. What's happening? The transaction servers are flashing yellow warnings. I've been let go, Daniel, I said, straightening my jacket. Fresh Energy Initiative. You guys are the Agile team now. His face went pale. Agile? We don't know the legacy scripts, the documentation for the core system. It's just you. It's all in your head. You'll figure it out, I said, though I knew they wouldn't. Not in time. Chris, he grabbed my arm, the heartbeat function. You told me once that the system checks for you, checks for your specific admin activity. I stopped. This kid was the only one who'd actually paid attention during my disaster preparedness lectures. You have a good memory, Daniel. How long? He asked desperately. How long until it notices you're gone? I looked at the digital clock on the lobby wall. 10:14 a.m. System polls for primary custodian every 50 minutes, I said. My last authentication was exactly 10 a.m. right before I went upstairs. Daniel looked at the clock. We have 36 minutes before it locks down? Not locks down, I corrected. Enters preservation mode. It assumes the custodian is dead or the company's been compromised. It severs external connections to protect core data. It's a feature Lawrence insisted on after the Target breach. It disconnects the stores, Daniel's voice cracked. It disconnects everything, I said. I pushed through the revolving doors into bright sunlight. Behind me, through the thick glass, I saw Daniel sprinting back to the monitoring room. I saw him shouting. I saw heads turning. I walked to my car, a reliable 10-year-old sedan. I didn't start the engine immediately. I sat there, watching the dashboard clock. 10:14:58, 10:14:59, 10:15. I closed my eyes and imagined the query racing through fiber optic cables from our Phoenix data center to backup servers in Nevada and Virginia. Query: custodian status check, response, null, retry, status null, action, initiate Walsh protocol Zulu. The beast had awakened and couldn't find its keeper. Now it was going to start protecting itself the only way it knew how. I started the car. Classic rock was on the radio. I turned it up. For the first time in 20 years, I didn't have to answer the phone. The drive home usually takes 30 minutes. Today it felt like 5. My phone was ringing constantly now. Unknown numbers from New York, California, Texas. Voicemails filling up. I ignored them all. Around 10:52, Rebecca from the Texas region called. She was good people, ran 60 stores with efficiency and no nonsense. We'd worked together on countless system upgrades. Christopher, what in the hell is going on? Her voice was tight with retail panic. My registers just died, all of them. 60 stores. I have lines of customers and the point of sale is asking for custodian authorization. What does that mean? That's a new one? I said calmly. though I knew exactly what it meant. Don't give me that calm IT voice. I called the help desk and got a busy signal. I called the monitoring room, and Daniel is having some kind of breakdown. Then I called Jennifer's office, and Michelle told me to trust the process and reboot everything. We rebooted, Chris. Now the screens just show a picture of a sad dog. I couldn't help smiling. That's not a sad dog, Rebecca. That's Lawrence's old basset hound, Barnaby. Default screen for system lockout. Why am I looking at a dead dog instead of sales figures? Because Jennifer fired me about an hour ago, I said. She didn't understand the handoff protocols. The system thinks the company's been hostile takeover and it's protecting the data. Silence. The kind that weighs more than sound. She what? Fired me for negative energy. She didn't check the technical dependencies. The system assumes I'm dead, so it's locking down to protect company assets. Sweet mother of... Chris, you have to fix this. I'm losing $60,000 an hour here. I can't, Rebecca. I don't work there anymore. Accessing the system now would be federal hacking. Unauthorized entry. I could go to prison. They're blaming you, Rebecca said quietly. There's a company-wide email that just went out. Subject line, System Upgrade Challenges. Says there's been sabotage by a disgruntled former employee. Sabotage. The word tasted like copper pennies. Thanks for telling me, Rebecca. Try manual credit card imprints if you still have those old machines. We threw those out 3 years ago, then offer free coffee and tell people to wait. It's going to be a long day. I hung up. Sabotage. The anger flared hot and bright. I hadn't touched a single line of code. I hadn't written any malicious programs. I had simply left. I had removed the only thing keeping the chaos at bay, myself. By 1:00 p.m., this had become a national news story. I sat on my couch watching CNBC. The ticker was red. Hartwell Retail Group down 11% in trading. A reporter was standing outside our Manhattan flagship. This appears to be a total system failure, she said, pressing her earpiece against crowd noise. Not a single transaction has processed in over 2,800 locations for nearly 3 hours. Analysts estimate revenue losses at $10 million per hour. $10 million. I did the math. Jennifer's decision to eliminate my $95,000 salary had already cost the company roughly $30 million. My phone buzzed with a text from Daniel. Chris, it's chaos here. External consultants arrived. They tried to bypass the protocol and triggered stage 2. Systems now encrypting the backup drives. Jennifer threw a chair. Board called emergency meeting. They know it's not sabotage. They know it's you, or rather, the lack of you. Help us. I looked at my phone. Then I turned it off. Let them sweat a little longer. Jennifer was probably in that monitoring room right now, screaming at everyone, demanding to know why the Agile team couldn't just download an app to fix a hard-coded system lockout that required biometric authentication from a dead man's walking failsafe. The irony was perfect. She'd fired the custodian and now wondered why the building was falling down. My house phone rang. Elena Fitzgerald, board of directors. The sharks were circling, but they weren't calling to attack. They were calling because the water was full of blood and it was their own. It was time to negotiate. I didn't answer immediately. Let them sweat a little longer. On the 5th ring, I picked up. Christopher. Elena's voice was crisp, professional, devoid of pleasantries. Elena, I replied, matching her tone, we've reviewed the situation. It appears there was a miscommunication regarding your departure. A miscommunication, I said. Is that what we're calling firing the system custodian without a transition plan? Jennifer was hasty. She didn't understand the technical architecture. She called it toxic energy, Elena. She fired the firewall because it wasn't cheerful enough. Heavy sigh on the other end. The board is in emergency session. The company is hemorrhaging money. We need you to come back. Immediately. Name your terms. I looked out my living room window. The sun was setting. Shadows getting longer. I don't want to come back to work for Jennifer, I said. Jennifer's authority is being reviewed. Not good enough. I'm not walking back in there to fix her mess so she can fire me again next month when the crisis passes. What do you want, Christopher? I want a meeting. Full board. Jennifer present. Tonight. Done. A car is on its way. The black town car in my driveway looked expensive enough to buy my house. The driver treated me like I was carrying nuclear launch codes. In a way, I was. When we pulled up to headquarters, it looked like a crime scene. News vans on the lawn, security keeping cameras away from the entrance. I was escorted through a side entrance, bypassing the chaos. The executive floor smelled like stress, sweat, and desperation. The monitoring room was packed, the entire board squeezed into a space meant for 5 people. And there was Jennifer, looking like her fresh energy had curdled. Her perfect hair was messy. Her blazer was wrinkled. She was staring at a large monitor displaying a countdown timer. Walsh Protocol Data Purge. 014723 Stage 3. If I didn't authenticate within 2 hours, the system would assume physical compromise and begin wiping customer credit card data to prevent theft. The nuclear option. I walked in. The room went silent. "Christopher," Elena said, stepping forward. She looked exhausted. "Thank you for coming." I didn't look at her. I looked at Jennifer. "How's the energy level?" She glared at me with bloodshot eyes. "You did this. You sabotaged everything." "I didn't," I said clearly. "I implemented a security protocol authorized by your father. A protocol designed to prevent incompetence from destroying the business. Seems to be working perfectly." "We don't have time for this," a board member snapped. "Can you stop the purge?" I walked to the main terminal. My old chair was there. Someone had wheeled it in from the server room. I ran my hand over the back of it. "I can stop it," I said. "Takes 3 commands. I know them by heart." "Then do it!" Jennifer shouted. "Do your job!" I spun on her. "I don't have a job, Jennifer. You fired me, remember? Effective immediately. We'll rehire you," she yelled. "Double the salary, triple. Just type the code." "No," I said. The word hung in the air like a church bell. "Excuse me?" Elena asked. "I don't want a job. I want a guarantee. Because if I fix this and you people go back to business as usual, you'll wait 6 months until you think you understand the system, then you'll fire me again. And next time, you'll try to bypass the fail-safe." I pulled a folded paper from my jacket pocket. I'd written it in the car. "These are my terms." Elena snatched it before Jennifer could grab it. She put on reading glasses. Her eyes widened. "This is significant," she said. "What is it?" Jennifer demanded. "A bonus? Give it to him." "He wants a seat on the board," Elena said quietly, "and creation of a new executive position, Chief Systems Officer with veto power over any operational decision affecting infrastructure." The room went dead silent except for cooling fans and the countdown timer. 01:23:44. "And," Elena continued, "immediate resignation of the Chief Operating Officer for gross negligence." Jennifer laughed, a high, hysterical sound. "He's a mechanic. He can't be on the board." "Your name is on the building," I corrected. "Your father's name. And right now, your father's ghost is about to delete 20 years of customer data because you wanted to save money on payroll." Elena looked at the paper, then at Jennifer, then at the timer. She was calculating. Option A, keep Jennifer, lose the data, bankrupt the company. Option B, fire Jennifer, promote the mechanic, save everything. It wasn't even close. "Jennifer," Elena said in that terrifyingly calm voice, "we need to discuss your severance." "You're kidding," Jennifer gasped. She looked around for allies. Everyone was studying the floor. "You're letting the help dictate terms." "He's not the help anymore," Elena said. "He's the person holding the detonator that you armed." Security guards appeared at the door. Men I'd chatted with every morning for 20 years. They didn't look at Jennifer with deference anymore. "This way, please, Ms. Hartwell," one said. Jennifer looked at me with pure hatred. "You planned this. You always wanted my job." "I never wanted your job, Jennifer," I said honestly. "I just wanted to do mine." Elena handed me a pen. I signed my terms. One by one, the board members signed too, like they were surrendering at Appomattox. Jennifer was escorted out. The fresh energy had left the building. I looked at the timer, 01:15:22. I sat down in my chair. It molded to my back perfectly. I pulled the keyboard close. A mechanical one, clicky and loud. "Daniel," I said, "plug in the hard line to the admin port. I'm going to inject the handshake directly." Daniel scrambled under the desk. I cracked my knuckles. "User, C. Walsh. Admin password." I typed the 47-character string I'd memorized years ago. Biometric scan. I pressed my thumb to the hidden scanner on the terminal's side, a scanner Jennifer never knew existed. The screen flashed red, then yellow, then green. Identity confirmed. "Welcome back, custodian. Aborting purge protocol. restoring external connections. The countdown vanished. The sad basset hound disappeared, replaced by beautiful, scrolling transaction logs. Store number 247. Online. Store number 0089. Online. Transaction processed. 23 hours 45. Milk, bread, coffee. A cheer went up. Not polite corporate applause, but genuine relief. Board members were high-fiving analysts. Elena actually smiled. I didn't cheer. I just watched the code stream. It was messy, old, needed work, but it was alive. 3 hours later, I walked back to the server room. Cold air, familiar ozone smell. I approached the main rack housing the core system. "Dramatic bastard," I whispered to the machine. "You almost killed us both." The fans whirred in response. I was the chief systems officer now. Board seat, executive salary, respect. But standing there in the cold, listening to data flow, I knew I was still the same thing I'd always been. The custodian, the mechanic, the guy who keeps the lights on. The only difference was now they knew what happens when the lights go out.